They say you're free. You live in a democracy. You have access to information. You choose your leaders, your job, your lifestyle. But between exhausting shifts, growing debt, surveillance cameras on every corner, and choices made by invisible algorithms, it's hard not to ask, is this freedom real? Or does it just look like it? And if it only looks like it, is that worse than not having it at all? This isn't a new question. But maybe now it's more visible, or more uncomfortable, than ever before. You say you're free, but what if freedom was never real? What if it's just a ritual, a polished illusion sold to keep you quiet, obedient, and grateful? You feel free because you can scroll, speak, vote. But who's choosing the options you pick from? Who decides what your freedom is allowed to look like? Freedom is just a word. Power is the meaning. For centuries, philosophers tried to define what freedom means. John Locke said it was a natural right, the ability to act without interference. But his freedom was designed for landowners, for white men, for empire. Rousseau thought freedom came from obeying the general will. But who defines that will? Who holds the pen that writes the contract? Michel Foucault reframed it. Freedom, he said, isn't the opposite of power. It's how power works. Power doesn't just limit your choices. It creates the choices you're allowed to see. And when the choices are shaped, so are the dreams. History echoes this. America declared liberty while enslaving millions. France shouted equality while conquering continents. Even dictators speak of freedom. They all used the word to clean the blood. And today, we're told freedom means choosing what to buy, what to stream, who to follow. We're free to consume, but rarely to question. We confuse choice with liberation and forget that choosing between pre-approved options is still a cage. What version of freedom were you taught, and when did you start to question it? In the 21st century, freedom is marketed like a product. Freedom of expression under corporate platforms. Freedom to work under surveillance and burnout. You're free to scroll, but not to disconnect. Free to speak, but only if the algorithm agrees. Take a moment. Ask yourself, if I were truly free, what would I stop doing today? And if I can't stop, is that still freedom? Think about the last time you made a choice. What to study, where to live, who to love. Did you choose your path, or did you follow what the world said was right? You wake up and work. You adapt and smile. You vote and hope. You scroll and cope. And somewhere deep down, a quiet voice asks, is this it? Is this what freedom looks like? Most people silence that voice. But if you're still listening, you haven't. Here's something no one tells you. Freedom doesn't always arrive in the present. Sometimes it's a future you'll never touch, but can still help build. In 1822, Denmark Vesey, a freed black man in Charleston, organized one of the largest slave revolts in US history. It failed. He was executed. He died with no liberation, no justice, no reward. But the fear he sparked, it shifted the conversation. It planted questions. And decades later, when others rose, his story was there. His defiance became inheritance. Or consider Sophie Scholl, a 21-year-old student in Nazi Germany. She didn't escape. She wasn't saved. She distributed pamphlets against the regime, knowing what it would cost. She was executed. But today, German children learn her name in school. There are statues. She lost her life, but she reclaimed a piece of her country's conscience. That kind of freedom isn't lived. It's remembered. Let's go deeper. There isn't just one kind of freedom. There's negative freedom, the absence of interference. Leave me alone. There's positive freedom, the ability to act. Give me tools, rights, voice. Then there's conditional freedom, with fine print. You can be free, but not that free. You can speak, but not here. You can resist, but not loudly. You can vote, but the menu's already decided. And maybe the most powerful one, illusory freedom, the kind that feels real, but serves a system you didn't build, a stage you didn't design, with outcomes already scripted. Let's be honest, economic freedom is one of the most brutally manipulated kinds. They say, you're free to choose your job, but you need that job to eat, to rent, to survive. So, is it really choice or coercion in disguise? In 1990s Russia, post-Soviet reforms brought freedom. Free to buy, free to invest, free to build. But who could afford to? A handful of men, the oligarchs, seized entire industries overnight. For most, freedom meant hunger, chaos, collapse. In modern India, farmers are told they're free to sell to any buyer, but the markets are flooded, prices collapse. That freedom bankrupts thousands. So again, freedom for whom? And who defines its terms? Here's the truth. Freedom is never just a word. It's a mirror. It shows you what kind of power is shaping your life. Because if you follow freedom back to its source, you'll find someone or something writing the rules. And there's more. How can we talk about freedom when most people spend their lives just trying to survive? Imagine this. A woman wakes at 4 a.m. to clean offices she'll never work in. A boy skips school to help his mother sell food at a traffic light. An elderly man eats once a day, so his grandchildren don't go hungry. They don't lack ambition, they lack room to breathe. Can we call it freedom when even rest feels like rebellion? Imagine this. In these lives, and maybe in yours, freedom isn't just distant, it's abstract. Sometimes, it's the first thing sacrificed, just to keep going. Imagine this, and yet, even here, the word haunts us. Because no matter how far it seems, the desire for freedom never disappears. It whispers in protest signs, in love letters, in escape plans and lullabies. Even those who surrender it still feel its outline, like a missing limb. So what is freedom really? Is it just a word, a linguistic trick, a polite fiction, or is it something else entirely? Maybe freedom isn't a condition, but a confrontation. Not a state of being, but a struggle. A refusal to accept the world as it is. A tension we carry, even when we can't resolve it. And maybe that's the point. Freedom isn't owned, it's sought, it's shaped, it's spoken. And in a world where language is power, naming your cage is the first step to loosening its lock. Let's name things. Let's pull back the curtain. Let's not just ask what freedom is, but who benefits when we stop asking. Maybe freedom because what if freedom was never the goal? What if it was a costume, a clever disguise worn by power while it reshapes the world in silence? What if justice, work, democracy, identity are all part of the same story? And what if we've been reading that story backward? This channel is here to flip the page. Next up, we'll ask, who is justice actually for? This channel is a space where curiosity becomes clarity, and clarity becomes confrontation. We don't offer comfort, we offer language. Because once you can name what shapes you, you can begin to reshape yourself. Nothing is neutral.